All right, what's going on? So apparently my mic is not working. I also want to make sure that I'm actually live. Looks like I need a new mic. If anybody noticed, or if anybody watched the fantasy league that we recorded, by the way, on the website, my mic just totally went out. So I just tried to plug it in again. I don't think my mic's gonna work, but anyway, we'll get through it. Okay, looks like we are live. Uh, we're gonna stick with the wine, by the way, just because vibes are high. The fantasy karma gods are watching out for me. The overall karma gods are watching out for me. Things are just going too well for Trey. So we're going to stick for the wine for another week. Cheers to Trey. Just got the email. Okay, so we are live for sure. Anywho, week 2. Leave my Saturdays alone. Before I get started on the upcoming games, because as I kind of introduce this series, I want this to be a no hindsight bias. I'm telling you who to look for, my expectations going into the game. The reason why I'm recording this the day before, literally right as midnight starts on Eastern time, I want all the receipts out there. Let's put them all out there. I'm not afraid of the receipts. I know there's a sellout in the college football media space who wants to blame the computer model anytime he's wrong, but wants to take credit anytime the computer model's right. Right up to Craig Breslow playbook. Somehow weird. So we want all the receipts out there. Before I get started on this week, though, I do kind of want to just go over the stock notes from this past week, simply because it is literally they're like a 96-minute read. It was over 18,000 words that I typed for this past week. I literally put it in the description. I encourage you to read it just because you're not going to find better information out there on the upcoming draft. And you'll notice, because these things keep happening now, i.e. Lenore Sellers, who Trey was first on by a wide margin. And now everyone wants to pair it. That's going to happen this upcoming week with the Oregon tight end, but we'll get there in a second. So, again, I just want you to pay attention to the signs to come, because as you'll notice, and this keeps happening more and more now, nobody wants to do the right thing and just fold their cards and just admit that maybe Trey knows what he's talking about. Instead, they just are going to copy what I say and then take it as their own work, which is what these people keep doing. I see you, Pate State losers. I see you. Anywho, just here's the plan for today. I'm going to list 5 bullet points from this past week just because there was a boatload of games. It'll also hopefully give you maybe some spark notes just in case you didn't read it. And by the time that I'm done with this, you'll want to read it. So anyway, just 5 quick notes. I don't really have any notes other than like I wrote names down in the games that I'm talking about. So 5 quick hitters on last week. Number 1, this isn't in any particular order. Number 1, Arch Manning. Let's just be done with it. There's no reason to pile on the guy. It was horrible. He looked like a tweaker. He looked like somebody who smokes a pack of cigarettes and went 48 hours and didn't have a cigarette. The dude was just off the wall. He looked like a total tweaker. Here's what we just need to do with Arch Manning. He's not coming out. He's going to be Texas's starting quarterback next year. And we'll keep tabs on it throughout the year. But like this idea that like, hey, the Saints are looking for a quarterback. Maybe they should take Arch. Or I saw people tweet this out when the Micah Parsons trade happened. It was like, well, tanking for Arch. It's like, well, he's not going to be in this draft. Okay, so like any of your toxic bullshit that you want to put out there about Arch Manning, let's just keep in mind, he's not coming out. And especially not after that fucking game. So any of the bullshit of the recruiting industry got it wrong, or he's playing against nobodies in high school, like, shut up, dude. Like, you don't know anything. He's going to be fine. That was probably the best defense he'll play all year. Top 5. I mean, he's not going to see the shit that Matt Patricia was throwing at him. So, look, clearly first start on the road, Ohio State, not ideal. He looked like a tweaker. He's not coming out in this draft. Like, let's just leave it at that. So, like, any of the bullshit you want to pull with Arch Manning, let's just 2027 or the 2026 and the 2027 NFL draft. Let's talk about it then. Till then, we're not saying a fucking word unless, like, we'll keep tabs on it. Hey, if he pops against Georgia or he sucks against Georgia or shit like that, we'll talk about it. But the nonsense that's on the media, let's be better than this. Number 2, I think it's pretty obvious, and I don't think we even need to wait on this one. Josh Heupel was right. Josh Heupel was right. And so let me show you this quick first. Actually, you know what? I'll do that at the end. Because I have to show it anyway. When it comes to this Tennessee, Heupel, Nico Iamaleava, Flores Lava, Heupel was right. He was 1,000% right. And okay, things can change. It's just week 1. They played Syracuse. Got it. And by the way, I think Utah will be good. They weren't scoring like this with Nico last year. Like, they weren't executing on these big pass plays with Nico last year. Dylan Sampson carried their offense. Now, they have what looks like a committee that you hope Bishop is an NFL back. Tennessee's going to put up points. Tennessee is going to put up points. And you know what? Aguilar might be an upgrade. He's not a talent upgrade. He's an on-the-field performance upgrade. And let's be real about this Flores Lava. This dude, here's what bothers me the most. And the performance against Utah was horrible. The fact that he still really can't throw the ball down the field is gross. Here's what bothered me the most. By the way, here's what really bothered me the most. This dude seriously had the audacity to come out and say, hey, I don't think I can be developed under Heupel. I don't think this is a pro-style offense. I don't think I'm going to have the necessary coaching here at Tennessee to improve my game. And then he comes out and shotgun every fucking snap. So you want to bitch. So let me get this straight. You want to bitch about how you don't think you can be developed by Heupel because he runs his air raid system and you don't think it's conducive for your NFL future. And then you come out and every single snap you take in shotgun. Don't need anything. Don't need any more information on this Nico. I'm not telling you that you should cross him off the list, but he's damn on the borderline of crossing off the list because he's got no self-awareness. None. Next one, just quickly. Ty Simpson shouldn't play another game for Alabama. I don't think that should really be controversial. I understand that their effort on defense was piss poor, but did anybody think that maybe the fact that they didn't think they were going to score any points had something to do with it? Also, not having Nick Saban has a lot to do with it. But this Ty Simpson, I mean, you're wasting your time. I understand that he's been loyal to the program, that he's waited his turn. He looks like he should be starting at Mississippi State, not for Alabama. And in reality, he looks like a worse version of Riley Leonard, who's not as fast, which shouldn't be viewed as good enough for Alabama. Next, Cade Klubnik. How many more examples of this do we have to see? I guess that's what I really want to know. How many more examples of this do we need to see? Every single time they play an SEC team, they can't perform. Whether it be Texas, now or previously against Georgia, now against LSU. Every time they play an SEC team, they look like a second-tier opponent. They just do. So I'm not putting it all on the quarterback. I think some of it has to do with Dabo just isn't going to use the portal, and That's fine. But here's the bottom line with Clemson. If we want to treat it as they are a develop program only, well, this is their window. Peter Woods is going to be a first-round pick, and it looks like so is this TJ Parker. And they got AJ Terrell's brother, and Sammy Brown looks like a hell of a linebacker. And they still can't keep up with these SEC teams. Like, they're not in the same tier. They're just not. It's too many examples of this. And they have no ground game. Now, it would be awesome if they had a ground game. It would probably help Klubnik. But let's just leave it at this so that we can keep things moving. I want you, the viewer, to go do this on your own. Anybody that put this fucking Klubnik as the number 1 pick in the draft in their mock draft has no clue. And he's got Garrett Riley calling the plays. If you can't put up points with Garrett Riley, that's a you problem. He looks like if Trevor Lawrence had an untalented brother who got a haircut. He can kind of run. He's not slow. Other than that, I have no idea what he brings to the table. That guy is like, again, we want to talk about evaluating the evaluators, which more people who keep up with this stuff should be doing. Anybody who put this fucking Klubnik as the number 1 pick in their mock draft, they don't have a clue. And then the last one. So what most people should be doing, which I know that they're not, is separating the player from the situation. Hey, if I put player A in situation B, what does he look like in situation C? What does he look like in situation D? Well, we're seeing that right now with Carson Beck. So I guess it would be now 3 years ago. He was great. Played his ass off. He's not a speed demon, but Carson Beck 3 years ago was really, really good. Last year, it went to shit. But a little known fact that maybe should have been talked about more, which I tried to do in these draft profiles, were if you go read my profile on Arian Smith, who, dude, he led the country in drops. It doesn't matter who your quarterback is, or it doesn't matter who. Let me rephrase this. It doesn't matter who your weapons are. If they keep dropping the ball, you're not going to look good, which is kind of what happened to Carson Beck. Georgia led the country, and Arian Smith personally led the country. Their team led the country in drops. Oh boy. I'm not saying that Miami has better weapons than Georgia. Well, Zachariah Branch didn't play with Beck, so that's different. But, man, making one-handed catches and putting the weapons to the side. These Miami tackles, sheesh. He's not getting sneezed on back there. So we are now evaluating Beck, where it looks like he's got some capable weapons. His ground game's maybe a C+, B-. Mark Fletcher looks all right. Jordan Lyle, maybe they can get it going, but they look okay. And then he's not getting sneezed on. He's got forever back there. And we're finding out he's got time. And when he's got time, he can execute, which is cool. This is all we wanted to see. Their tackles, Markel Bell. I have a post on the website. You can go read it. He's going to get drafted. Probably a lot higher now after the way he's playing. And then they got Mauioa playing right tackle, who is a freak show. So Miami should be pretty good. One quick side note, because I didn't want to take forever in this part, and mostly because I don't want to beat a dead horse, and I think a lot of the people in the mainstream media are being over-the-top ignorant about it when it's not necessary. Let's not blame Bill Belichick for everything that happened in that TCU game. Chickster put this in the Slack, and more people should be saying this rhetoric, and that is sometimes it's not about the X's and O's, it's about the Jimmies and Joes. And boy, oh boy, TCU is just way better roster-wise. I don't think North Carolina had a bad game plan. By the way, if you go watch the game, first drive, which the first drive is scripted, game plan, heavily coached. First drive, they go down there and score. It was beautiful execution. Practice execution becomes game reality. That script that they had to open up the game sure looked like it was pretty good to me. It got off the rails because they don't have the dudes. If you really go watch that North Carolina game back, and I don't want to take forever on this because, again, so many of you in the media, or you fans, or people on social media, so ignorant about it. But if you just go watch that Dwyer beat up 29 over and over and over and over and over and over again, I don't give a fuck what you're running on defense. If 29 can't cover anybody, that's a problem. And that Gio Lopez, he stinks. Max Johnson is better than him. So here's my real question, and I'm hesitant to do this after 1 week because the expectation should have never been that this team was going to like compete for like a playoff spot. That's not what we were ever talking about with this team in year one. But now their schedule is so fucking easy. That was one of the best teams they'll play all year. So again, we're keeping that in mind too. I think if anybody should be ashamed of that performance, it should be Michael Lombardi. Keep in mind, this is coming from someone who I love his daily coach column. I think he's very smart. I think he's one of the few humans alive who actually understands leadership and culture. That team he put together is not good. That team he put together is horrible. If anybody should actually be embarrassed, it's probably him. If we're being 1,000% honest about what's going on. Let's just okay, so they're a young team, right? They got this left tackle Buchanan who I'm sure he's going to pay out. 2 years, 3 years down the line, I'm sure he's going to turn into a nice player because Belichick will get the most out of him. But that roster is not good. Top to bottom, that team is not good. I don't know what the fuck he was doing. Just watch their receivers. Just watch their receivers. It's very, very obvious what happened in that game. North Carolina knew they had to keep running the ball. TCU sold out for the run. And North Carolina's wide receivers are fucking putrid outside of Ship. And they started doubling Ship, and then none of the other guys can make a fucking play. And the running backs are brutal. So I understand that Lombardi wants to build inside out. College football is a little bit different. And if you don't have, you have to have guys like Zachariah Branch. They just completely tilt the field. One play completely changes the game. They don't have anybody like that. Now, I understand that Zachariah Branch is a 1%er and he's going to the NFL, but they don't even have a tier down from what looks like that. That's the problem with North Carolina. If you just watch their receivers, that Jordan Ship, maybe he's an NFL player, maybe. The rest of the receivers, stick a fucking fork in them. If anybody should be embarrassed about that North Carolina program, it should be Lombardi because that team is not good. Now let's get to the games. So I got a short list. Not going to take too long. The stock notes this week, by the way, are going to be way shorter than last week, simply because last week they were spread out. Iowa State. Let's be encouraged about Rocco Beck so far. Let's be encouraged. Week 0 goes out there, outduels Avery Johnson. They get a win. I like his footwork. I know this is a little bit of helmet scouting. All I'm saying is if anybody's going to be a next Brock Purdy, they might have one. And he might be better. So some things that I'm watching for. They're playing a Big Ten defense. Here's the real kicker, though. And Iowa, they didn't really play anybody. They didn't have to do anything to really win that game. They ran for a fuck ton of yards. They were in control the whole time. think he's a South Dakota State transfer. North Dakota, not North Dakota. I think South Dakota State transfer. Gronowski. He threw for like 30 yards last week. Didn't have an explosive pass play. It doesn't look like he can throw the ball. So if Rocco Becht simply like puts up some points, I don't see why they can't win by double digits. Again, Big Ten defense. Life's not going to be easy for them. Probably be harder to score points than against Kansas State, because Kansas State only really has linebackers and nothing really else. If Rocco Becht can simply put up 3 touchdowns, which is a lot, but if he can put up some points, they should win this game no problem. If Gronowski plays like he did last week. Not a guarantee, but when you're throwing for like 30 fucking yards in an entire game, that's kind of a problem. Next game I want to talk about. This might be a beating worse than the one that I just mentioned. I'm sure the Iowa State game will be close just because it is. But my hope is that Rocco Becht just fucking hammers his cock on the table and takes over and puts up a bunch of points, and it's never close because Iowa can't keep up. That's my hope. Not saying it'll happen, but that's my hope. Oklahoma State, Oregon. Shout out to the new intern, Nicholas, who wrote an article on this. I wish he would write more than one news article a day, but that's a topic for another day. When it comes to these two teams, first, the article. So Lanning and Gundy are going back and forth. Lanning spending a bunch of money. Gundy isn't. There's your Spark Notes. Oregon's probably going to blow them out. The line's 27.5. Oklahoma State's starting a true freshman quarterback. Oregon played Montana State last week and slaughtered them, which is a good sign because last year they played Idaho and it was ugly. So good news on that front. Not off to a dreadful start again. I want to see, though, because my expectation is Oregon will take care of this no problem. For me, I'm really watching for the movement skills. Like, how is Dante Moore processing? Does it look really easy for him? Is his team carrying him? I know his tight end's a stud, Kenyon Sadiq. He's really number one on every single tight end list that exists. Whittington is now the starting running back. They have some transfers on defense. They got the Uiagalelei pass rusher. So that'll be the first look at Oregon this year. I would imagine they're going to be very, very good. I don't really have any concerns about that. My guess is they blow them out. It's a matter of what the score is. Maybe Gundy shows a little fight. But as I mentioned in the hot takes post for the Big 12, that my bold prediction is that Gundy's done at the end of the year. We'll see on that. Next game, Ole Miss, Kentucky. Keep in mind, Kentucky won this game last year. So that stuff kind of matters. So, like, if Ole Miss just plays pissed off, let's keep that in mind for when we're evaluating the players. Austin Simmons, we're getting our first look at him. He can actually, like, technically declare redshirt sophomore. Another guy that should definitely stay in school. Didn't really play well last week. But now we're getting into like, hey, Kentucky, let's show you're a big boy. Let's show you deserve to start. Well, he deserves to start, but because my expectation for Austin Simmons is he's going to be better than Jackson Dart. Let's go start proving it. Kentucky, I don't know what the hell I just said. Zach Calzada is starting for them now. They didn't look overly great against Toledo. They beat Toledo, but they didn't look overly great. So 3:30 game, Eastern time. One of the ones that I am excited for, though, South Florida. I fully admit I did not watch Florida beat Long Island. No point in doing so. How real is South Florida? The line is 17.5. Maybe I'm totally off base on this. Again, we want the receipts out there. I'm not hiding anything. Don't need to. Feel like I'm educated and informed on this stuff. I feel like South Florida might give them like a hang around. I could see them totally hanging around. Byron Brown, who personally I didn't think he looked that good against Boise State. They just couldn't tackle him. Florida should be able to tackle him. What if they can't tackle him? Then we start to adjust things in our mind. What if they can't tackle him? He's the thing that I was worried about when I watched them beat Boise State was it looked like his release was too long. Like he would throw these bubble screens and it just like it took forever to get there. Like he had to load up and it just not quick. Get on it, guy. So he got hurt last year, and maybe that's part of the problem. And he's still slow to come back, and that stuff will pick up. Open-minded to that. Not saying that can't happen. But I'm very skeptical that he's going to be able to really like hammer Florida through the air. And if he has to rely on running the ball against an SEC defense, I don't know. What I think actually might happen is Todd Orlando's defense keeps him in it. That's what I think might happen, which I think is going to happen if South Florida has any chance. The real kicker to all of this is I'm not sure Lagway's healthy. Like I'm just he was all banged up in camp. He had constant medical. Hey, his shoulder's banged up. He's got knee problems. I don't know if he's healthy. We're going to find that out. The thing that I'm most excited for when it comes to Florida, and again, this isn't SEC competition yet, so maybe even if this player does go nuts this week, we don't get carried away, and he's not even draft eligible. I'm just telling you this right now. I love their running back, Jaden Baugh. I think he's a real dude. So a couple things to keep in mind there. 3 more games, and then we'll get out of here. Arizona State, Mississippi State. I'll give you my expectations before the season. I think anybody that's going to sit there and pretend this Sam Leavitt is this superstar NFL quarterback doesn't know what they're talking about. That's my take. I think this team ran through Cam Skattebo. If you really go watch the bowl game against Texas, wasn't Leavitt. Wasn't Leavitt keeping him in it. By the way, Leavitt didn't have a fucking touchdown against Texas. Not one. 0. So I just want to know, can he go beat up Mississippi State? I would hope so. Because that's maybe, I'm going to say actually it is. I'm going to say that's probably the worst team in the SEC, Mississippi State. Blake Shapen. If you can't outgun Blake Shapen, that's a fucking problem. Jordan Tyson, I'm still skeptical on, but I'm willing to buy into him more than I am on Leavitt. I'm just saying that if you can't really compete against Aiden Childs at Michigan State, I'm not sure how good you are. So we'll see. I just think Mississippi State might hang around. Not saying they'll win. Don't think it's impossible that they win. And I wouldn't be surprised if they won. I want to be proven wrong, Sam Leavitt. Go prove me wrong. Also, who are they replacing Skattebo with? To be determined. My hope, not saying this is going to be the case, my hope is that Raleek Brown, the former USC guy, actually gets better and improves and shows that he's a real back. That's the hope. We'll be watching for that as well. 2 more. And actually, you know what? I'll save the next one for last. UCLA, UNLV. Kind of piggybacks on what I said earlier. Boy, if Flores Lava hasn't been crossed off the list, he's dangerously close to being crossed off the list. Talent, not a question. Self-awareness, very in question. And so I maybe jumped the gun in the first episode that we did on UNLV where I said, hey, I think this UNLV team might be pretty good. And then they barely win week 0 against the FCS team. And then they beat Sam Houston State, but not really like overly convincingly. UCLA should be significantly better than any team they've played so far, even though they got hammered by Utah. Hey, is like Nico going to do anything? Is he just going to stink the whole time? Because if he's not putting up points against UNLV, we got problems. I don't know who you're even looking for other than that. The UNLV running back, I'll say movement skills wise. So, yes, I'm very aware they have not played anybody. Let me double check something because I want to make sure these numbers are exact. The UNLV running back, Jaden Thomas, 19 carries, 212 yards, 4 touchdowns so far. That's 11.2 yards per carry. It's pretty good. Pretty good. So, yes, again, they haven't played anybody. What if he does that against UCLA? Maybe UCLA stinks too. But it's at least a step up from the other shitbags that they played. I'm interested to see. What I'm really interested to see, I understand that the quarterbacks are not on the field at the same time. But if like Calandria is like legitimately, hey, you know, he might actually be the best quarterback in the field. Like if you simply remotely even have that thought during this game, it's time. It's time. Now, last game. I bet this in real life. And since I bet this in real life, let's go over this now. Vendetta Fantasy Contest is up. You can play. I don't know what you guys are waiting for. Water's warm. The water's warm. So here is the college football contest. If you can remember our bet from last week, LSU cashed. And so what I was going to mention is the overs on the Tennessee games. I'd keep playing them. Our bet that we're going to put in follows the same theme as last week. Oh, I went too far. Same theme as last week. And that is, we don't even want the points. We're going to take the road team. Let's take Michigan. I am fading. By the way, you can still sign up for Vendetta Fantasy Contest. Use the promo code MatthewBerrySucks. It is 100% free as of right now. I am fading Brent Venables any chance that I get. Here's the more concerning part. I like Mateer. Put up some numbers against Illinois State, which doesn't mean anything, but I like Mateer. I actually think he can play. I don't think he's as good as Cam Ward, but he can kind of move. He can use arm angles about the same way. And I don't think he's a massive step down from Cam Ward. So Washington State had both of them, Cam Ward, and then it turned into Mateer. I don't think he's like night and day worse. I think he can legitimately play, which is good news for Oklahoma. I just think Venables is going to be Wade Phillips of the NFL, and that is he knows defense. Guy knows defense, but I'm not sure he knows a single thing about offense. Now we're getting Mateer against a real NFL defensive coordinator for really the first time. This is Wink Martindale. This is Michigan. It's a Big Ten defense. What's going to look like for Oklahoma's offense? Last year, their offense was fucking broken. Now, they have a quarterback upgrade and an offensive coordinator who looks like he knows what he's doing. Ben Arbuckle. Put up points at Washington State. I don't know how anybody has confidence in Oklahoma right now. For me, Oklahoma, again, the reason why we're doing these live streams before the games at midnight, leave my Saturdays alone, I want the receipts out there. I don't know how anybody has faith in Oklahoma. Oklahoma is going to have to prove they're good before I believe it. I think Venables will end up being the Wade Phillips of head coaches. Should be a defensive coordinator. It's got no clue on offense. Against Michigan, I have a hard time believing they're going to put up points. Here's the biggest concern that I have. They couldn't run the ball against Illinois State. I'm not sure they have a back. If they don't have a back, now Taylor Tatum was a former 5-star guy, but he didn't do it. They couldn't run the ball against nobody's. What if they can't run the ball against Michigan? They're not winning. If Wing Martindale, because he's going to blitz. I watched the Ravens for a long, long time. Wing Martindale, he's going to blitz the fuck out of him. If they can't run the ball and he sends these exotic blitzes at Mateer, Oklahoma's not winning. And let's talk about this. Did anybody watch this Underwood last week? Woo-hoo-hoo-wee. I don't know if you can bet this right now, but if you can bet him as the number 1 pick in the draft in 2028, if that's a bet that exists, I would take that. In terms of true freshman quarterback, the Cal guy looks awesome. And Underwood, whoo-wee. I think he's the real deal. So, yes, I understand they were playing nobody's last week, San Diego State, but that Underwood, he looks ridiculous. I'm not concerned that he's going to go on the road and shit the bed. I'm really not. And Justice Haynes, who they get from Alabama. By the way, did you watch how Alabama ran the ball without Justice Haynes? Couldn't really do it. So Justice Haynes looks awesome last week. He's a former big-time recruit from Alabama. What happens if Michigan can run the ball and Oklahoma can't? So I'm picking Michigan to win the game. As you can see, Vendetta Fantasy Contest, you can sign up right now. Play against us. It's free. As long as it's free, why not try it? So I'm taking Michigan. That'll do it for the stream. Any questions, leave them in. I'll answer them. I have the stock notes linked below. I'll try to get the East Carolina series going. I know I'm a little bit slow on that, but so much content that I've had to do. So I'm hoping that I can get the East Carolina series going next week. Other than that, I should have the stock notes done in time. I already have them fluffed up and prepared and ready to go. Expect those probably Saturday night, Sunday morning. And other than that, leave my Saturdays alone. Enjoy the games and show must go on.